The restaurant was louder than it needed to be. Silverware clinked. Glasses touched. Someone laughed too hard at a joke that wasn't funny. When I reached the table, my sister didn't look up right away. She was busy arranging menus like she was setting a scene. Then she smiled. "Sorry," she said, light and amused. "This table's for family only." She pointed behind me. A fold-out chair sat near the trash can, one leg shorter than the others. Someone had already leaned a purse against it, like that was my place. A few people laughed, not cruelly, comfortably. That kind of laughter only happens when everyone agrees who's above who. I stood there for a moment longer than necessary, long enough to feel every eye check my reaction. My sister tilted her head. "You don't mind, right?" I nodded. I picked up the chair myself and sat down. The table felt far away, close enough to hear everything, too far to be included. Conversation resumed without me. Trips. Stories I wasn't part of. A waiter came by and asked if I wanted a menu. My sister answered for me. "She'll just have water." I said nothing. I didn't come for the food anyway. I came because moments like this don't come out of nowhere. They're rehearsed over years. And tonight wasn't about dinner. It was about reminding me where they thought I belonged. What they didn't realize was that the night wasn't going to end where it started. Not when the bill arrived. And not at that table. This wasn't the first time my sister had done something like that. She'd always had a talent for turning rooms into rankings. Who sat where? Who got asked questions? Who waited? Growing up, she decided early that I was background, not worth competing with. Just there. At family events, she spoke for me, corrected me, laughed when I finished a sentence too slowly. Everyone let her. My parents said it was confidence. Relatives called it leadership. I learned it was easier to stop pushing back, not because I couldn't, because nothing changed when I did. At dinners like this, the pattern was familiar. She chose the restaurant. She chose the table. She chose who counted. I showed up on time anyway, not hopeful, just observant. From my chair near the trash, I watched her order without looking at prices, watched the others nod along. Watched the waiter lean in like he'd been trained to take cues from her. No one asked what I wanted. No one checked if I was comfortable. The chair wobbled when I shifted my weight. Someone joked about it. I smiled. Not the tight smile people use to survive embarrassment. A real one. Because once you've seen a pattern clearly, it stops hurting the same way. You stop reacting. You start waiting. And the longer you wait, the more obvious it becomes who's assuming responsibility for things they haven't actually earned. Like tables, like attention, and like bills that haven't arrived yet. My name is Rachel. I'm the younger one, even though people assume the opposite. I don't interrupt. I don't perform. I learned early that in our family, volume passed for authority. I didn't live with my parents anymore. I hadn't for years. But proximity was never the issue. Positioning was. At home, my sister took the middle seat at every table, the one closest to whoever was paying. I took whatever was left. If someone asked what I did for work, she usually answered first. "She's figuring things out," she'd say, smiling like it was generous. I never corrected her, not because it was true, because explaining myself had never changed how she treated me. My work didn't fit into a sentence she could repeat. It didn't come with a title that impressed waiters or relatives. So I kept it to myself. At dinner, she talked about promotions and trips, about how busy she was, how hard everything had been. Everyone leaned in. From my chair, I listened. The waiter came by again. This time he placed a drink in front of my sister. She glanced at me and laughed. "Oh, she's not really part of this." The waiter hesitated, then nodded. I watched him walk away and realized something. She wasn't just excluding me. She was training everyone else to do it too. And the bill hadn't even come yet. The longer the night went on, the louder the table became. Wine bottles emptied. Voices rose. Stories got bigger. From where I sat, I had a clear view of everything. Who ordered what? Who suggested another round? Who waved the waiter over without looking at anyone else? My sister ordered for the table like she always did. Shared plates. Extras. Desserts no one had planned on. "Put it on here," she said, tapping the center of the table. No one questioned it. Every so often, someone would glance toward me, not long enough to invite me in, just long enough to confirm I was still there. I stayed quiet, not sulking, not waiting to be rescued, just watching the total rise with every addition. The waiter checked in again. This time he looked uncertain. "Are we all together tonight?" he asked. My sister answered before anyone else could. "Yes." Then, like an afterthought, she added, "Well, accept her." She pointed at me with her fork. Laughter followed. Light, unbothered. The waiter hesitated, pen hovering. "Okay," he said slowly. He wrote something down and walked away. That was the moment I knew how this would end. Not because I'd planned it, because they had. They decided I wasn't part of the table. They just hadn't thought through what that meant when the bill came. And it always comes. When the plates were cleared, the mood shifted. Not suddenly, gradually. People leaned back. Phones came out. Someone mentioned how full they were. My sister waved the waiter over with 2 fingers. "Check, please." He nodded and disappeared. Conversation slowed while we waited. That familiar pause where everyone assumes someone else has it handled. I watched my sister scroll through her phone, relaxed, confident. She'd done this before. Taken charge. Let everyone else coast on the assumption that things would work out. The waiter returned with a small black folder and placed it in the center of the table. No announcement. No drama. My sister reached for it automatically. Then she stopped. Her eyes flicked down, brows knitting just slightly. She looked up at the waiter. "There must be a mistake," she said. "This isn't right." He stayed polite. "It's correct." She opened the folder wider, scanning the total. $3,200. She laughed once. "Sharp. Split it," she said, evenly. The waiter glanced around the table. Then his eyes landed on me. He hesitated. "Actually," he said carefully, "I was told she wasn't part of the table." The laughter died. Every head turned. My sister looked at me like she'd just noticed I existed. For the first time all night, no one spoke for me. The waiter waited, and so did I. The silence stretched. My sister blinked at the waiter, then at me. "That's not what I meant," she said quickly. "She's family." The waiter didn't move. He just looked at her, calm and neutral. "I was told the table was for family only," he said, "and that she wasn't included." No accusation, just repetition. Around us, other tables kept eating, laughing, living. My sister's smile thinned. "Well, obviously she's eating with us," she said, "so she can help." I finally spoke. "I didn't order anything," I said. My voice was steady, almost bored. She scoffed. "Don't be difficult." I looked at the folder, then at her. "You told him I wasn't part of the table," I said. "You pointed." A few people shifted in their seats. Someone cleared their throat. The waiter waited. I reached for my bag slowly, not to grab a wallet, just to stand. I pushed the fold-out chair back. One leg scraped at the floor. I smiled, the same way I had earlier. "Not my table," I said. It wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. The waiter nodded once. Like that settled it. Behind me, I heard my sister start to argue. Not with me, with reality. And for the first time that night, I wasn't watching from the outside anymore. I was walking away. I didn't rush out. I walked past the host stand at the same pace I'd walked in. Calm, unbothered. Behind me, voices rose. My sister hissed my name. Someone laughed nervously. Someone else said, "Just put it on your card." I didn't turn around. Outside, the air was cooler, quieter. I stood near the window long enough to see the waiter return to the table, saw him gesture politely, saw my sister lean forward, jaw tight. Her confidence was gone now, replaced by calculation. Phones came out. Whispers followed. This was the part people don't talk about. The moment after public certainty collapses, when no one knows who's actually responsible anymore. A few minutes later, my phone buzzed. A text from my sister. "Where did you go? Come back." I didn't answer. Another message followed. "This is embarrassing." I smiled, not because I'd won, because the pattern had finally broken. They'd spent the whole night deciding who mattered. And when it counted, they decided wrong. Inside, someone laughed again. Too loud this time. I slipped my phone back into my bag and walked down the street. Dinner was over, but the night wasn't. They figured it out before the check was paid. Not all at once. In pieces. One person covered part of it. Another hesitated. Someone suggested Venmo. My sister stayed quiet longer than I expected. That's how I knew it hit her. Later that night, my phone lit up again. Not just her this time. A cousin. An aunt. Someone I barely spoke to. Are you okay? That got awkward. You didn't have to do that. I let the messages stack. Around midnight, my sister finally called. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail instead. Her voice sounded different. Careful. Controlled. Rachel, she said. I think there was a misunderstanding. I smiled at that. There's always a misunderstanding once witnesses are involved. She didn't apologize. She reframed. She said she was stressed, that she hadn't meant it the way it came out, that family shouldn't embarrass each other in public. I listened once, then deleted it. What she still didn't understand was simple. I hadn't embarrassed her. I just stopped absorbing the cost of how she treated me. Money, attention, dignity. Those costs don't disappear when one person refuses to pay them. They just get redistributed. And that night, for the first time, the bill didn't land where she expected it to. Not financially, socially. Which, for someone like her, was much harder to explain away. The story traveled faster than I expected. Not because it was dramatic, because it was clean. There was no shouting, no scene to exaggerate, just a chair by a trash can, a table, and a bill no one wanted. By the next family gathering, the seating was different. People asked before deciding. Chairs were pulled out instead of pointed to. My sister laughed more than she used to. Too quickly, like she was filling space. She didn't try it again. Not with me. Not because she'd changed. Because she'd learned where the line was. We never talked about that night directly. We didn't need to. Power doesn't announce itself when it shifts. It just changes how people behave. I still don't take the best seat. I don't need to. I sit where I'm placed. And if that place is an afterthought, I leave. That's the part they remember now. Not the bill. Not the number. The pause. The moment when everyone realized I wasn't going to argue for a place I hadn't been offered. Some lessons only stick when they're taught quietly, in front of witnesses, with no way to laugh them off later. The funny thing is, nothing about my life changed after that night. Same work, same routines, same silence where explanations used to be. What changed was how little I was willing to absorb. I stopped arriving early, stopped waiting for cues, stopped adjusting my presence to make others comfortable. If there was a seat for me, I took it. If there wasn't, I didn't ask. I left. No speeches. No follow-ups. People noticed. They always do when the quiet one stops accommodating. My sister still hosts dinners. Still organizes. Still decides. Just not for me. And that's fine. Because belonging isn't about proximity to a table. It's about whether you're expected to shrink once you sit down. That night, I didn't prove anything. I didn't expose anyone. I just took my hands off something I'd been holding up for years. And when I did, the weight finally went where it belonged. Not on me,